What is it with modern electronics and appliances that they don't last? Like modern appliances, these things are bloody expensive and you would expect them to last more than 10 years. But here we go again. Dishwasher in my house, 10 years old, doesn't work. So this is a GE dishwasher. It's about 10 years old and it's completely dead. Will not turn on.
Go away.
So first thing we got to do is we got to get into the electronics, into the control board. So we do that by removing all the screws in the sub door assembly.
Just these big ones.
Once the screws are removed, the front panel will lift off, and then we can access the electronics.
Get away.
I have to shoo the cats away because I can just see screws. I can just see all the screws landing inside the dishwasher as they get knocked off from the countertop.
There's the controller. I suspect that either something in the controller has failed, or it might even be the power button over here, because it was getting harder and harder to turn off. So I think maybe moisture may have gotten onto the control board. So that is what I'm going to check, is to see if there's any signs of any water leaking onto this switchboard over here. This is the board that's of interest, as this is the one that's got the display on it, and the display for a while has had segments that haven't worked. So I'm curious as to whether this board has been affected by moisture. Being it's a dishwasher and there's always steam around, I'm pretty sure that this board is probably where the problem is going to be. And it is. We can see definitely that corrosion has gotten onto this board. Now what I'm curious is, if I clean this up, is this going to work? This is the power switch, and you can see it's all corroded. Well, that would certainly explain why it doesn't work. I'm going to get some alcohol. We're going to clean this board up. This would also probably explain why over the past year or so, actually probably longer than that, probably the last couple of years, this dishwasher is 10 years old. But for the last couple of years, it was getting increasingly hard to turn off. Like, it would go through the cycle, but when the cycle was done, if you push the power button, nothing happened for several minutes. And then it would work. It was almost like the steam. When it got steam on it, wouldn't work. And it probably was shorting some of these connections together, which was canceling the signal from the power switch. And finally the corrosion just got to the point where it was too bad, where the switch itself is either damaged or locked right out. But we'll clean off this corrosion and give this thing a try and see whether it'll turn on again. One thing's certain, I don't think this board will be available. You'd have to replace it as the whole entire unit, and cost-wise on that would be a lot of money, if it's even available. But we'll try cleaning this board up first. Bottom side doesn't look to be too bad, probably because the moisture collected on the top side and shorted out the power switch. So we'll just clean this up, and then I'll put the power back on. I've got the power off now. I'll put the power back on and see if it turns on. Okay, power's on. Power switch is doing nothing. Let's just jumper the power switch and see whether it will turn on. It's just a momentary contact switch, and this will be a low voltage switch, so I don't have to worry about getting a shock or anything here. Just have to touch these two terminals together and see whether oh, what do you know? It turns on. Excellent! The switch is bad. I probably can select my cycle over here. Yep. I can select my cycle, and I can select my... That segment has been out for a long time on the display. So now I know what I need to do. I have to replace the switch. If I touch it again, it'll go off. Gotta make a connection here. Excellent! I know what I gotta do. I gotta change this tactile switch. Cool. Just saved myself $1,000. So I'm gonna just cut this old switch out and solder a new one on top. It'll probably come out pretty easy with the good old snips. Oh yeah. Oh, the contacts are corroded anyway, so it had to be replaced. That's probably what's wrong with it. It's just the corroded, because this one was corroded right off. So there's the old switch out. We'll clean this up a bit and then just tack a new switch over top of it. And the guys at the appliance stores won't be making any more money off me. Because you know, you don't make it if you keep having to spend money on things, replacing things and so forth. You can't save any money doing that. And I hate spending money. It's one of the things that, one of my pet peeves in life is having to spend money on things that I don't need to buy. How's the saying go? Look after the pennies and the dollars will take care of themselves. I've done that all my life. Get some new solder on here. It might not be pretty, but it might work. Oops, it won't work if I do too much of that now, will it? It's kind of in an awkward place to tack this down. Time for testing. Moment of truth. Woohoo! I fixed it! Or it goes back in like that with a couple of small screws to hold it in place. Yeah, see, this is something that these appliance repair guys would come in and say, oh, yeah, your control board shot. it's going to be 400 bucks for a board or 500 bucks for a board. You know the guys. If you're in Canada and you watch Marketplace, they did a sting on appliance service places where they planted some faults in appliances and then called in various companies to, you know, so-called experts to fix the problem, and got quotes, and it was pretty crooked what these guys were charging. But every single one of them, because as it turns out, a lot of these appliance places are like owned by one big company, and they've got all these different names. Like there's a few companies around, but they've got all these independent technicians working for them that are all part of the same crew that rip people off, charge ridiculous fees for simple things like changing a power switch. You know, why charge someone 100 bucks for a service call and you know, $10 for a switch that they can change out in a few minutes, when they can sell them a board for 400 bucks and charge them a whole bunch of money for a new board, and you know, a whole bunch more labor to change that board. The fun part's going to be getting this door back together. See how it kind of comes off. I guess it slides. Oh, it goes up like that. Okay. It goes on like this, and I got to get the screws in while assembling the door. That'll be the fun part. Well, my battery's almost dead on my camera, but putting the door together is not that bad. You just kind of have to hold it in position and thread in a couple of these screws on the top. And then once they're in place, the longer screws, the rest of them will probably go in just fine. So before my battery croaks on here, I'm just going to get these screws put in. We'll do one final test, and then we'll call this one done. Okay, there's the unit back together. All right. How's the saying go? Don't throw it out, fix it! We'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.